Welcome to the Louisiana Business and Industry Show. And now your host, Tim Johnson.
70% of the jobs that exist in the U.S. economy and almost 80% of the jobs that exist in Louisiana's economy require something less than a four-year college degree to access them. We're going to talk about this subject and more when Kayleen McCabe, television personality, and Jennifer Wilkerson of the National Center for Construction Education and Research join us when we return on this edition of the Louisiana Business and Industry Show.
Consumers and property owners with construction projects can have a successful result or regretful experiences that could have been avoided. Before any construction project, verify licensure of the contractor and check references. Scammers will claim to be insured or bonded, so always check first. Download our app, LA Contractor, from the Android or Apple Store. Visit our website, lacontractor.org, or contact the Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors. We're here to help before things go wrong. Hire a licensed contractor. It's the law.
Spadel's Florist was founded over 30 years ago. From my mom's kitchen, we have grown into one of the largest florists in this area. There's a sense in our community that you stick together. Good times or bad. And oil and gas is part of that family. They're my neighbors. They're my customers. They're the person I'm sitting next to at church. If oil and gas is doing well, all of our businesses are doing well. We are Louisiana Oil and Gas.
The Work Ready You program changed my life. There's opportunities for everything. You could be a welder, you could be a nurse. You can take any trade you want, and it's free. I dreamed of it as a kid, be successful, making a life for myself and making me a family. I always dreamed of it, but I never thought that I would be here, and dreams come true.
For your free high school equivalency training, text diploma to 55,000 or give us a call.
Passion, experience, safety. These are what set Arkell Constructors apart as a premier general contractor. At Arkell Constructors, our goal is to exceed our clients' expectations, whether it's commercial, industrial, or facility maintenance. We have the team and processes in place to provide a solution for you. To us, every project is a resume for our future. Arkell Constructors, the solution for your next building project.
Welcome back to the Louisiana Business and Industry Show. Very pleased to welcome back to the show Kayleen McCabe, who is a television personality, and Jennifer Wilkerson of the NCCER. That's the National Center for Construction Education and Research. Guys, welcome back.
Thank you.
For having us.
Glad you're here. Kayleen, let's start with you. Remind our viewers about your background, the television work that you've done, and how you sort of got involved in the construction industry.
Sure. So I hosted Rescue Renovation on the DIY Network for a number of seasons. I have a background in residential construction. I love construction. I sort of joke that I have the TV show just to satiate my power tool addiction. And so with the TV show, I realized, though, that there's a lot of opportunity and possibility to talk about workforce development, because we were having a hard time staffing with contractors, and then seeing the larger picture and the ripple effect of what's actually happening in the U.S. It's been great being able to leverage the fame from TV and my love for construction, and now get to talk to students and parents and say, look, this is an amazing career. Like, why wouldn't you do this?
And we're going to really get into those careers and the availability and the demand and the shortages that we see as we go along today. Jennifer, remind our viewers about your background, the work you do at the NCCER, Director of Marketing there, and specifically about this initiative that we've created over the course of the last 10 years or so, Build Your Future.
Sure. So I was a high school English teacher for 13 years. My husband owns a welding fabrication shop, and NCCER was this great fit of bringing education and construction together. So NCCER develops curriculum and assessments for industrial and commercial construction. And most importantly, we provide credentials and transcripts for the craft professionals that go through those programs. Talking about the career awareness, Build Your Future has been an initiative that NCCER started back in '97 with the real concern about how do we fill all the open positions in construction, but how do we also get out the message about the available career paths, the high skills that are needed, the high wages that are available, and all the training and lifelong learning that's involved in construction.
You talked about discussing the demand for these careers that exist in the U.S. economy today, and especially in a state like Louisiana, and we'll dig deeper into that as we go along. But what we're seeing now in the construction industry is a significant number of the baby boomers, the folks that are my age, preparing to retire. And if you think about the economic expansion that we've seen, the growth of the construction industry, the demand for skilled craft professionals, and you couple that with the retirements that we're going to see, with all of this experience and knowledge and capability leaving the industry, the demand is huge. Talk about those numbers.
Sure. First of all, the need in the industry is an unbelievable number. So we need 1.4 million craft professionals by 2022. So that would be everybody in Phoenix going out and starting to work construction.
The entire city of Phoenix.
The entire city of Phoenix. That would be the only way to fill those positions by 2022 right now. So one of the big issues, as you talked about, is retirement. So the predictions, the research is showing about 29% of the construction workforce will retire by 2026 and 41% by 2031, I believe it is, which those are staggering numbers. Yeah. Considering how long it takes somebody to actually become trained and experienced. You're talking about 4 to 5 years of training, and then you're talking about another 5 years of really being able to gain the experience in the fields that they need to master those crafts and really understand them.
Kayleen, you've been drinking from a fire hose in terms of your engagement with this industry and with the NCCER and the things that you do. As you travel around the country, you see this demand. You know that it exists. You know also the importance of credentialing and certification. Talk about what you see.
That's massively important. You do not become a master craftsman overnight. It does take time, and it takes training. These jobs are highly skilled jobs, careers, lifelong opportunities. It's not like you just fall into becoming a pipe welder or a fitter. I mean, this takes a long time. So credentialing is incredibly important, and being able to go through a structured system where now, as also an employer, I can say, oh, you have this credentialing. I understand the training that you have. I find it valuable.
I know what you are capable of.
Exactly, yes.
And it makes a difference. You know, one of the things that we saw, and we'll talk about this more as we go along today, but we've created this culture in the United States that that says to be successful, you must get your training and education at the four-year university. And I mentioned in the open of the show that 70% of the jobs that exist in the U.S. economy require something less than a four-year college degree. Now, those are industry-based certifications, these credentials that we talk about, associate degrees, but most of them require some training past high school. These are the kind of careers we're talking about, high-paying, high demand, great benefit types of careers. I make the statement often, Jennifer, and I want you to comment on this, that construction is no longer just a job on a project. It's a real career in a wonderful industry. Your perspective.
Absolutely. So it is a lifelong career. People think, that only if you start with a company that you'll be there 30 years, that's a career. So I need to find a job. And I notice construction, they go to different projects. But it's about a career for a lifetime. It's not about being at the same exact project site or the same company. It's the opportunity to go different places, see different things, build incredible structures all across the United States with skills that start out, like you said, with a credential, with a certification, at a community college, at a technical school. That's where it begins.
You see this every day, right? You understand that we have mismatched the training and education that we provide in this country with the actual jobs that are available in the economy. What's your perspective on it, Kayleen?
It's actually a disservice to what we've done as far as perpetuating that notion, because they're wonderful careers. This is something that I find so incredibly rewarding, and especially for folks getting into this early, you can start on your tools and possibly own a company, not in 30 years. There's a lot of growth potential in this industry too, so it is a lifelong opportunity.
We talk about it all the time, and you just mentioned it. It is one of the few places where you can start your career having never picked up a hammer, and in a few short years own your own business. It's a wonderful opportunity. We're going to talk about some of the challenges that we face in recruiting young people into our industry. Take a break, we'll come back. We're visiting with Kayleen McCabe and Jennifer Wilkerson. You're watching the Louisiana Business and Industry Show.
Since 1919, we've designed and constructed hundreds of industrial plants, roads, ships, dams, and executed some of the most complex jobs in the world. In fact, our quality and dependability are legendary. Today, the legend continues as Brown & Root delivers engineering, construction, maintenance, and industrial specialty services throughout the U.S. and the world from our headquarters here in Louisiana. We are Brown & Root.
ExxonMobil Baton Rouge keeps the local economy rolling. Our new aviation project created hundreds of jobs, drove millions of dollars to local businesses, and poured thousands more into our community to improve schools. 1 in 8 jobs in our parish can be traced back to ExxonMobil. Tomorrow's Baton Rouge is built by what we do today. A little energy goes a long way. ExxonMobil Baton Rouge. Energy lives here.
The 1012 Industry Report is excited to announce the 1012 Industry Weekly. This e-newsletter is free and comes to your inbox every Tuesday. All you have to do is sign up at 1012industryreport.com. 1012 Industry Report is an award-winning magazine serving South Louisiana's petrochemical and oil and gas industries. From Lake Charles to Baton Rouge and New Orleans, we cover the news, people, projects, and issues that matter to industry. The 1012 Industry Report magazine and weekly email. Sign up today.
Welcome back to the Louisiana Business and Industry Show. We're visiting with Kayleen McCabe, a television host, and Jennifer Wilkerson of the NCCER. Guys, in the first segment, we sort of set up the fact that we've misaligned workforce development and education in our country, that 70% of the jobs that exist in the U.S. economy and almost 80% of the jobs that exist in Louisiana's economy require something less than a 4-year college degree. We talked about the wonderful careers that are available in the construction industry, but we do face some challenges, Jennifer, in capturing the hearts and minds of students, potential folks that might enter the construction industry, and particularly their parents. You've tracked it very closely, and you watch it, and you work with it every day. Talk about those challenges and some of the things we're working to overcome.
Certainly. I think one of the things that we've realized, just looking historically, what happened is after World War II, there was a huge push, rightfully so, GI Bills, people going in to get a college degree. And as that happened, fewer and fewer people were going into what used to be called vocational education. And even the vocational education sector realized this need to change, and they kind of got a facelift with the idea of career and technical education being the name of that system. You see Perkins funding come into that, and that really is because of the need that we see in the industry. I think the concern is we didn't do enough when all of that transitioning was going on to educate people what that means. So first of all, using the language that we use, what we use to describe things. And we need to make sure that people understand these are not middle skill jobs. I almost cringe when I hear people still say middle skills. Nobody wants a middle skills person building the hospital that their grandparents are in.
The chemical plant.
Nobody wants the power plant, but exactly. Yeah. They don't want their children going, and guess what? It's not middle skills. Yeah. It's high skills. And so, number one, I think we have to start talking about it differently as an industry. We have to let parents know that young people are inclined to build things. They play with Legos, they build sandcastles, they want to make things, they want to look back at what was I able to do. And as a former teacher, we have a lot of kids that are brilliant, but they don't want to be confined in a classroom. Theory's fine, but let me put that to practice.
Well, and so that leads me to a question to you, Kayleen, and Jennifer makes a wonderful point there. There was a time when we said in career and technical education, what used to be the old VOTEC back in the day, that if you were really bright, you went on to the 4-year university. If you were less capable, that's what we wanted you in these other programs. Nothing could be farther from the truth. Jennifer just mentioned it. We need the best and the brightest in construction. You see that every day.
I see it and I live it. I don't have any college education, and yet I was sort of in shock. A lot of parents could not believe that I was going into construction instead of, something traditional.
Right.
And I see it constantly, and the need is so there. and it's beyond rewarding. And so this opportunity to really share that, yes, these are lifelong careers, and we have to actually restructure the funding too. We need to properly say, yes, this is a career. It's not a lesser than job. I'm not just a laborer. In fact, I'm an equal. I am a surgeon, like a regular surgeon, and said, I do surgery on your house with power tools, not inside your body. You know, it's as valuable. And so
one of the things we say often, and Jennifer, you've heard me say this as I've spoken about this topic across the United States, is a really good layout pipe fitter will do as many mathematical calculations in his or her workday as an engineer will do in their workday. And we need them to be no less accurate. They may think about them a little differently. They may arrive at the conclusions a little bit differently. But these are some of the smartest people I've ever been associated with. These are bright folks. Talk about that.
That's absolutely true. And I think one of the things that, how do we get that out there? How do we help parents understand? And so one of the initiatives we've done recently is our Discover More initiative. And at discover.byf.org, parents can actually go and see what we're building. And we're building amazing, amazing things. But what we're building, how many people it takes to build that, what the cost of for those structures, and then they can go in and see the stats and the career openings and what we're talking about here. And I think I think it's just a re-education. I think, and I've mentioned this before, and you hear me say this all the time, healthcare did it absolutely right. We have people lining up trying to become nurses at colleges. We need that in construction. So construction needs to come together. Stop worrying about which company they go to work for and just worry about people choosing construction. Let's just get people to come into the construction industry.
Kayleen, you've done a ton of work over the last few years of trying to improve the image of construction in the hearts and minds of the folks who might be interested in this industry. You're out there every day. You're doing things on social media. You're doing promotions. You're visiting schools. You're talking to young people. What are they telling you?
Oh, the perception is that it is not a career for everyone, especially being a female, you wouldn't be welcome. And that is beyond false. In fact, you say I do a lot of outreach. My newest obsession is when I'm at restaurants and I have a fabulous waitress and she has the cat eye makeup. I'm like, why aren't you a welder? You put something pointy up against your eye and drew a straight line. You have the gift to start to weld. And yet with the opportunity to make a lot of money consistently with growth potential, etc. And a lot of kids still think that if they don't have that degree, they're going to be a failure in life. So it's really important to talk about multiple pathways to success. I don't consider myself any less than anyone else who has a degree. In fact, maybe a tiny bit ahead because I don't have the debt associated with that degree. And that is almost the most crippling factor, that these students are not being educated about the long-term investment of things. So it's kind of, yeah, it's fun. And
I'd like to say something about the art part of that. You know, if there are students out there that are sculptors, they're painting, they love to create things, guess what industry you can make a lot of money doing those exact things? And we forget that sometimes. So I would say reach out to the arts programs at your schools and talk to these kids about, you know, how would you like to be able to paint on something on the side of a 47-story building or make some kind of mural or something. This is the industry for that.
We're going to take a break. When we come back, I want to focus on two things specifically. I want to talk about the lack of debt that young folks who go into construction might see as opposed to other paths. And I want to talk about this critically important research study that NCCER has undertaken. We're visiting with Kayleen McCabe and Jennifer Wilkerson. You're watching the Louisiana Business and Industry Show.
I just see the positive things on the horizon, and BRAC is a real integral part of that.
BRAC's taken a very forward role in trying to help align people and align strategies and align solutions.
You'll find that you'll have an opportunity at BRAC to make a difference.
It's about being a part of conversations and really having a voice in terms of how we move the city forward.
What if I said that whatever good things you build you? And that in this economy, sweat never loses its value? What if I said that there isn't a challenge in the world too great for a craft professional with the right tools, and that the steps that lead from where you are to where you want to be can only be built by you? Build your future at byf.org.
It might be one of the most efficient, most effective methods of communications we've ever used.
Promoting workplace safety and family wellness. That's our motto at Gulf Coast Occupational Medicine. The Gulf Coast staff is made up of some of the most knowledgeable and hardest working medical professionals in Louisiana. We care about your safety and your bottom line. With 8 convenient locations in the greater Baton Rouge area, our services include injury management, physical exams, medical surveillance, and substance abuse testing. For more information, visit us on the web at gcombr.info and ride the wave to safety.
Welcome back to the Louisiana Business and Industry Show. Jennifer Wilkerson of the NCCER and television personality Kayleen McCabe are my guest. I want to drill down on this 1-2-7 thing just a little bit. We talked about this economic ratio that exists, that for every 1 advanced degree in the U.S. economy, it takes about 2 4-year degrees, bachelor's degrees, to support that work. And it takes 7 individuals with some additional training, but something less than a 4-year college degree. So this ratio of 1-2-7, 70% of the jobs that exist in our economy require less than a 4-year college degree to access them. Now, we're not sitting here discouraging anyone, let's be clear about that, from going to the university and pursuing their dreams from that perspective. What we're saying is that there are a whole lot of other pathways out there. One of the things we found is that a lot of young folks who go into the 4-year university, maybe without a clear idea of what it is that they want to do and be, graduate with a degree that does not necessarily lead to economic opportunity, and mounting, crushing debt. You've got some statistics on that debt that are just unbelievable. Talk about them.
Well, and typically we throw out the number that right now, college debt is only second to mortgage debt in the United States. It's at $1.5 trillion, which is staggering. But I think what we need to do is get a little bit smaller and personal about that. So Citizens Financial Group actually did a survey, and they surveyed 500 current 18 to 24-year-old college students. They surveyed 544 parents of current college student, and they surveyed 518 past, just recently got out of college, they've been working. And so what they found out was those in college know that they're probably going to incur about $39,000 to $42,000 in debt to finish a bachelor's degree. When they asked them, how long do you think that will take you to pay it back if you have a student loan? They said, till I'm about 33 years old. Students that are already out of college that are now working to see what they actually could make have actually said, I think it's probably going to take me to 41 to pay that back. The research is showing that it actually has taken an average of 21 years for a person to pay back their student loans. Even though the federal government sets them up on a 10-year plan, you have to think about what job you will have and how much you will be able to pay. 45
Drives you crazy, doesn't it?
Absolutely bonkers insane, because right now in this industry we have programs where you can earn as you learn, and so you come out with a career where you're making
and
a ton
no
of money.
debt.
No debt. And you're saddled now with a payment for 20-some years in a career that you might not like at all. And what if you hate it, but you still need to be there?
Or if you get a job in that career.
Yes, and so, that's the
Well, and here's the other thing, guys, and you both are very aware of that. There is nothing to say that you can't go get an industry-based certification in one of these earn while you learn programs, and then decide later in your career, after you've saved the money and can pay for it, that you want to go on to the university. You're in a much more mature position, both financially and the ability to matriculate through the process. You've had some life experience out there. It puts you in a much better position. So what we're promoting here is the idea that, hey, take a look at these careers. I need to move us to another point. NCCER has been involved in what I think is a very important study of the workforce development system in the United States in conjunction with the Construction Users Roundtable and the Construction Industry Institute. This restoring the dignity of work. Give us an overview.
Sure. So we went into this supporting this, and as you said, Construction User Roundtable, Impact Iron Workers, and it was with CII, and what we ended up finding out was it was going to take more than a year. It ended up taking 3 years to actually do the research that was necessary for this. Lots of fantastic information. But then what came from that was this advocacy document, and they found that there were 7 policy recommendations in the United States that needed to happen if we are going to actually transform our workforce development system. And many of them are around career and technical education.
We've got to rebalance that. One of the things we look at on a national level, and Kayleen, you can comment on this, is that from a federal government's funding standpoint, the U.S. federal government spends about $130 billion a year on higher education. It spends about $1.2 billion a year on career and technical education. If you look at that ratio, that 7 folks are in the career and tech ed space versus 3 generally in the economy, in the higher ed space, that funding is completely out of whack. And that's one of the recommendations that the study talks about.
Yes, and it needs to change. And this study is fantastic. There are some beautiful statistics that have come out of it that not only showing this information, what are the action plans on how to actually change the hearts and minds of influencers, but then some really solid statistics that have been involved then into the discover.byf.org site, where you can pull these statistics from and start to have a very educated dialogue on how to change this.
It is a wonderful study. There are about a full copy of it can be accessed at the website, but there's also some summary documents that are very interesting that talk about those 77 policy statements. It talks about apprenticeship. It talks about rebalancing career and technical education. Louisiana has done a really nice job under Superintendent John White and their leadership. We've got Jumpstart Louisiana. We are reinventing career and technical education. One of the things that I'll get you guys to comment on briefly is that in Louisiana today, a school principal and a school performance score is as heavily weighted toward industry-based certifications as it is toward advanced placement. That gets you excited.
Oh, it's fantastic, and I hope that other states start to realize that an AP class is as valuable as a program that's teaching the crafts. It is an equal weight, and so bravo, Louisiana, because you're setting the bar very high, and I hope other states really step up and follow that lead.
Jennifer, if folks want more information on this, 10 seconds, what do they do?
You can go to nccr.org, go to the news and information, and there's research. That's the research paper. You can also visit discover.byf.org.
It is wonderful information. I encourage all of our viewers to take a look at it. Jennifer Wilkerson, Kayleen McCabe, keep doing the great work that you're doing, explaining to young people that there are wonderful careers available in the construction industry. Great things going on. We're going to keep an eye on it, and we'll have you back on the show sometime soon.
Thank you.
That's a wrap, guys. Thanks for joining us. Join us again next week at this very same time for another edition of the Louisiana Business and Industry Show.